the life force of your bond. A power like light itself, unseen for generations. A dyad in the force.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dyad in the Force, and also season 2 of Dyad in the Force. 101. Now, I don't know if you guys were able to see the little compilation I put up on the YouTube channel, Dyad 100. We had a very nice cookout with everybody. Camilla, Danielle, Xanthi, St. Pat, Choco and his wife Bree, as well as Dimitri, Sammy the Monster. It was quite fun to hang out with everybody. And again, it's a long time coming. We live around each other. We don't hang out with everybody. But how's it going, Choco?
It's going good. Still feeling a little under the weather. Got flu was going around, but other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome.
Happy to hop back into the swing of things. By the way, everyone here in the chat, did y'all check out the new intros and all that good stuff? What are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, let us know. I tried to do as much as possible with the world between worlds and the new Ahsoka stars and circles and stuff. It's the best we could do without the help of an actual motion graphics artist, but we make do with what we got. Darthman or Kenny wants to talk about that new book. It's all from Hondo perspective on all the bounty hunters, and it's called The Secrets of the Bounty Hunters. So I like it. I like that they're doing a whole bunch of secrets books. It's pretty interesting.
You got a little bit of robot to me. Curious, anyone in the chat that experience? It's like you went
Hello?
Let's see here. Yeah, stream has been a bit funky.
Which is odd because there's no dropped frames.
You sound like a robot to me. They didn't heed Okoye. I never phrase. Oh, they hear you, but not me. Interesting.
How are we doing now?
Okay. I never phrase.
Are we doing okay?
Yeah, sounds like we're back in it, back at it, back of it.
So I'm gonna okay. Maybe I can do this from the phone. I think it's because I had the waiting room on this, and it's like, it's I guess it's way too demanding. I should next time we do this. So this is the beta. This is the beta, guys. So we're working the kinks out. Looking better now. We hear you, Choco. We Gucci now. Good. Y'all good. There we go. Both good now. Everything is good.
I smell profit.
Leia's Only Hope super chatted a $2.11 ramen drop. I love to chat. Super chat, I mean.
Connor, thank you for the super chat for $2.11 in the correct currency. I'm just kidding. I don't know if you mean that literally, but alas, here we are. Hello, Young. So I'm going to try to create this room again. 1 second. And we'll see how this goes. I can probably do this from my phone.
Okay, interesting. But yeah, we want to be able to take your calls, get you guys actually involved, in the episodes, and so there should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we want people to be able to come in and talk to us, ask us questions. Let's see here, that.
Hey, and we got Travis in the chat. What is going on, my friend? Travis recently got married, and congratulations.
Congratulations, Travis. I think this is all that I need.
All right, there we go.
I smell profit.
Leia's Only Hope super chatted a 93-cent ramen drop.
No message, just chat.
just a chat. That's all it is. Where is my note to self? Okay, 1 second.
Yeah, but other than that, how's everyone else been? We normally start out with kind of the fandom chat. So we had a lot of stuff going on in different fandoms. I don't know who is keeping up with things like Chainsaw Man, with My Hero Academia. Just before this, we were talking a little bit about Wakanda Forever, and this. Again, there's a lot. People aren't talking about it, but Dragon Prince season 4 dropped.
A lot, definitely a lot. I'm gonna just.
What are you guys all interested in?
Why is it ramen drop? So I guess we could theoretically change it now, but. How it started was basically
Big Toast drops now.
Yeah, I mean, basically we had a dream, and that dream was to share ramen at like a get together at Celebration, and it did finally happen. And so every time someone super chatted, that was money going towards the ramen party, and we would call it a ramen drop. And I think just colloquially, I think it just works more than just a donation. I think ramen drops are the way to go.
But it was cool. We got a whole bunch of people out. We got ramen, and we paid for the ramen with the ramen drops, and it was really cool. A lot of fun hanging out with y'all. It was the first time meeting for a lot of us, so it was really cool.
Yep. You'll better keep that. 'Tis Dyad lore. We shall and we will.
see. Is Dragon Prince good? I heard it was from the same creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I never tried it out. Yeah, it's and also the voice actor for Sokka is one of the main characters in it. So every now and then they give you some nuggets, but all in all, it's just well-rounded and deep story. It gets kind of dark in some places, but the whole thing overall is family friendly. It's a fun romp. It's the same demographic as Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I think it gets into some more adult territory, I guess I would say. I would definitely say it's worth checking out.
Do we still have the Yoda emotes if we type the Yoda shake? I think it was Yoda shake. I think it was. I don't think so. That was when I was trying to incorporate a like an emoji wall where you could type something in and it would just bounce around, but it wasn't really working too well, so I kind of like ixnayed on that one. 86 that, I mean. Just got done watching Arcane. Holy crap, so good. Arcane is
Phenomenal.
Really good. I am not an LOL person.
Same.
But do I want some more of that Arcane? I do.
And it's just painful to me that Overwatch just doesn't make an anime. You know what I mean? Like, Arcane was just really solid story. It was really good. Cyberpunk just came out with Edge Runners, which made the game more popular than it was at launch. Straight up, there's more people logged in than at launch, and especially after seeing the Doomfist cinematic, which is just a Doomfist anime, short. It would just be so easy for them to make something, tell one of their stories. Even if you animate it, like if you didn't want to like pigeonhole yourself, go back to one of their events, like story-driven events, and tell that story in anime form. And I think it would do gangbusters.
It would. So next time, for future reference, basically, I have to run this with my laptop. Because Video Ninja is very CPU intensive when running multiple calls. So I could just have this call here on the main computer and then the waiting room on the laptop, which is fine. It still works the same way. So here you guys go. I'm going to send you guys the invite for the video call. If you guys want to call in, and I'm going to pin it to the top. The password is, of course, Dyad in the Force. One word, lowercase. And as you guys join into the waiting room, we will bring you guys in and talk to you. And this is what I'm going to refer to as the hot seat. So now you guys see the hot seat. And whoever gets called in, whether it's just voice only or with camera as well, it's not required, So if you guys want to call in, please do so, and then we'll get you into the call.
Yeah. But how about you, Pep? Anything special that's been catching your attention? I mean, I know the Lord of the Rings Online just had a big drop. Or has it not come out yet? Never mind.
No, Before the Shadow did release on Tuesday to actually very glowing reviews, which I am very proud of. Lots of reviews for the quests that I worked on were stellar. So I'm just looking to continue the work into the next update, and just to continuing the grind into the next update, which I can't say anything about. But things are going to get heavier and heavier. So it looks like we have our first caller in. Let's see if this works from the phone.
Hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts.
As Mace Windu has often said.
And this is just me kind of like, you know, working with what I have so far. Again, beta program. Hello? Are you there? Okay, I think they're on mute.
Yes, muted through Video Ninja. There we go. Hello.
Nice.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks
Coming
for
in
having
here
me
like
on.
Palpatine.
I figured in this onesie, this is the only way to appropriately come in.
Yeah.
The
Okay. So we
dark
got.
side.
I believe your name is K Stanzi on TikTok.
That is correct.
What's going on? I guess it's your first appearance on Dyad then.
It is. I'm excited. Thanks again. I'm like a huge fan of both of you. I think you guys do amazing things. You're both way more positive than I can ever hope to be, and I admire that so much.
Positivity is a sliding scale.
Yeah.
I think what you do is very positive.
Thank you.
You know, I think that's how most of us started out. You know, I think my very first video was telling people to STFU. So it's not like I was always very nice. I think there were many moments since starting in the last 2 years where I just got really, really like tired of it all. You know, I mean, the whole argument with Rey and Kylo is the biggest one, where people don't realize that Rey didn't beat Kylo. Kylo lost, and it's a huge like distinction to make, and it's not something that normal people would be able to distinguish, because there is a difference between the two.
Yeah, I mean, Stanzi just railed someone on this very topic in a recent video one I saw recently. Like, y'all remember when he got shot in the stomach, right?
Not a lot of people do.
That is the biggest case of Chewbacca erasure I've seen in my entire life. The dude forgot Chewbacca existed like 3 times within the span of a minute, and I got so mad. Actually, on that topic, I have a question for you guys that I'd love to have a good conversation about, if it's all right. So, what you said before, Choco, about how like you appreciate what I do, I appreciate what you do, even though we have 2 different brands. What I picture when you watch my videos is living vicariously through me when I tell people how stupid they are, and you're like, "Oh yes, everybody's viewers, but get them now." But what I would really love to hear you guys' opinions on is what you think is not necessarily the moral thing, but a thing that's valuable in fandom between calling out toxicity versus trying to make everyone feel as welcomed as possible. You know, the different aspects of the fandom where like I do more of like call outs because I am sick of the toxicity and like that's my avenue to get rid of it for me, and you guys primarily like are very welcoming and try and get new people in and answer lore questions. I think both of those are like super great, and I think they're super necessary. But what do you think is like I don't know how to phrase like the necessary power of both of those types of brands in a fandom to keep it engaged and healthy? Like, do you think call-outs are important? Do you think accessibility is more important? Do you think that none of it matters in comparison to the product?
It depends. It depends on how egregious the bad information is, right? Because even though I try to be welcoming as I can, there are times where I do have to just straight up call something out. I'm like, I'm sorry, this is wrong. So sometimes people need to be, drugged, but
Did you say drugged?
Drug, I said you drag them through the dirt.
Dragged.
That would be the appropriate word, yes. Dragged. I thought you said drugged. I'm sorry.
People just need to be on drugs. That's from Choco's mouth, everybody. You heard it. Clip it now.
No, I mean, but I think what Choco was saying also, just to continue off of that, we've had our fair share of call-outs. We've had our fair share of people who have beefed with us and even, had a problem with what we do. But essentially, aside from answering lore questions, we combat misinformation, because it's important to have that stuff and recognize that it is the wrong information. So the main reason we answer lore questions is so that everyone has our answers to those questions, but also we cite the sources. So we tell people where to get this information. And it's been a huge night and day change over 2 years, where now I see 20 plus people on TikTok who actively read the books, keep up with the comics, and know their stuff, and they can do the work in the comment section and call out on their own and cite their sources. And it's a breath of fresh air from the landscape that it was, where I'm pretty sure all of these people read the comics and books, but they weren't their voices weren't public. And so I'm glad more people are becoming creators that did do that. But I know, I'm aware that of some people in the community that have started reading books and comics. And I'm just proud of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing to see people starting to engage more. I don't know, I guess it affects me on the emotional level, when I want to get people encouraged to read the books because I love the High Republic and stuff. And then I'll come across some video of a person saying how, the Disney woke agenda, and then they get onto their little soapbox about how, it's all this ideology they're trying to shove into you, and they're trying to make you think that all Star Wars fans are racists, even though we're just calling out the ones that harass Moses Ingram on Instagram. And that's what gets me okay, I don't want those people to engage, because I find that harmful.
Yeah. So, I mean,
that was a rough day.
One of the things that has been not getting to me, but has been on my mind, is this whole toxic positivity thing that seems to be making its way around the hallways, so to speak. I don't think positivity can be toxic. I think positivity can be annoying. If it's way too far and you're no, like everything, and you're trying to convince people to like everything. Of course, that's annoying, but it's not as toxic as, harming people of a community, keeping people away from the franchise, and making them feel less than. If someone doesn't like a movie and you're like, but you should love it, it's annoying. But I don't think it ever treads the ground of being toxic.
Right.
So
I think that's just a term, a branding issue. Whereas from my understanding, feel free to tell me if I'm wrong, the issue was a lot more about just the division between people that say, if you say anything bad about the content, then you're an anti, or if you say anything positive about it, you're a bootlicker, and just push and pull.
First of all, I want my
and I get that. Here's what I find to be the case more often than not. That's not true. So I find most of the people I have seen talking about the concept of positivity. And let me be clear: if you're a dick to someone because they don't share your opinion, yes, that is toxic. And it doesn't matter if you're for something or against something. It's not the opposite. It's the same exact thing, right? So in that case, no difference. But I keep seeing these people who so one of the reasons I started creating content was because no one was decrying the horrible toxicity that was coming out. And the same creators that I looked to and wished they would say something about all of the people harassing others are the same ones who are like, well, I said I didn't like Andor and I got pushback. It's so toxic. And you're like, this is like, not the racism or death threats. Like, I've seen a 6-year-old girl get death threats for cosplaying Rey. I have a friend whose account got banned because of the Toxic Dude Bros like just reporting her video. And you want to complain about the people who say you should like Andor? That's stupid to me. And it's one of those things where they try to say, oh, well, there's bad people on both sides, but like the bad on this side is death threats, the bad on this side is I really like everything that's come out for Star Wars. They're not the same. And like when they'll be like, oh, because I don't like a movie you think I'm sexist, oh, because I don't like a movie you think I'm racist. That's never happened. That's what they say. It's never because you didn't like it. It's because the reasons you gave for not liking it were not treating people equally, and the difference either was gender or race. It's just a weird scapegoat that I've seen people use that doesn't actually fit anywhere.
I have a slight challenge to that opinion. Is that I think that it's hit me hard. All right. I think the challenge with a lot of people that hear, I don't like this thing. Let's say someone doesn't like Andor. Some hypothetical person doesn't like Andor, and or doesn't like the sequels, and that's all the information they give. They just say, I wasn't a fan of it. I think a lot of people that are good Star Wars fans that are tired of the toxicity in the discourse hear someone say, I wasn't a fan of this thing, and then immediately hear that as a dog whistle for the actual terrible people that use that to promote a toxic ideology. Because someone will use a dog whistle to say, I didn't like the sequels, and then starts out as like, okay, that's fine, they're entitled to their opinion. Yeah, I didn't like the sequels because Rey is a Mary Sue, and they hate men, and this is where the country's going. And that's where people see step one and hear, oh, this person's on that side. So I think that's where I have had some people who have just said, I support representation, I support women empowerment. I don't think it was done well in the sequels. That's not me. I've heard somebody else say that, and they say they got like a lot of hate for that. And I don't think they're that far like on the side of the antis that have a really toxic ideology. They just think, oh, it could have been done better, but like I support the things it was trying to do. It just wasn't for me. And people will still hate on them for that. So I think that is something that does happen. It's not very frequent. I don't want to be misrepresenting the toxicity in reference to the antis. Like, it's not an equal comparison, but it does happen, and I think it does still need to be addressed at least.
I fully agree with that. A great example is Eckert's Ladder the other day, did a picture of the back of Convergence and was like, what even is this quote? Where like, if it's a quote from inside the book, so you have to read it to understand it. That seems pretty obvious. People kind of jumped on him because there's so many people that spew hate at the High Republic who've never read it. My thing is, you have to know that. You know what I mean? I feel like everyone wants to be judged on who you are, but you'll judge others on what they do. No one can tell what is in his heart during this unless you follow them religiously and know all the other stuff that they make. I met a guy who had a what do they call it? Confederate flag shirt that said it's not about heritage. It's not about hate. It's about heritage on the back of the shirt. I avoided that person. They ended up being a nice guy.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, but like what you're putting out looks like a lot of stuff I need to avoid.
Yeah.
And you know, I think there's onus on both sides when it comes to that. But if you know there's a lot of hate, people will.
I think it's hard for people to become educated about where the hate actually lies, because like I had a guy in my comments like a couple months ago that claimed the Star Wars fandom isn't toxic, and like I went off on him about it a little bit because I was like, what about all of the harassment that's like documented in headlines and news organizations over the past 20 years? Like, how are you going to believe this doesn't exist? Head in sand, yeah. Turns out the guy literally just saw the movies for the first time a month prior and like just didn't know any of that. Yeah. So like it comes to a point where like how much do we hold people accountable for their own level of education about a pop culture fandom and its effects?
I think, you know what, it's not about holding people accountable, period. I think one of the things that we try to do as, you know, as content creators and lore masters is to make sure that everybody knows things and they're able to ask those questions. I think the initial toxicity as Star Wars fandom has been over the course of almost 50 years is that not knowing about Star Wars was a bad thing, and gatekeeping is a, I wouldn't say time-honored tradition, but it is a tradition in the fandom. And so when you open people up to being able to learn about Star Wars or being new to Star Wars, then the stigma of education becomes less and less of a priority. You know, we don't want to hold people accountable for not knowing, but we want to make sure that they have the ability to know.
Right.
And what you said is also the reason why I act the way that I do, because rather than jumping to any conclusion, I try to like coax out like, okay, why do you think this? So I don't ever fall into that trap. So my answer to that was largely anecdotal because it's what I've come across.
Yeah. But thank you, Kay Stanzi, for joining in and having a conversation with us. We will get back to you on being on for a full episode, but it was great to exchange words with you. We got to get the next person in. Absolutely.
Yeah, great conversation. Have a good night.
Be with you. All right, so we do have another person waiting in the wings. That is Kenny, if you can hear us, you are on. And for those of you in the chat, Skeevis, Travis, Xcore Gamer Skills, welcome back, Xcore. And DePaul, Conspiracy Cantina, the link to join the call or the waiting room is pinned to the chat. So if you guys want to call in and wait in the wings, we'll bring you in as soon as possible. I don't know where Kenny is. But
you know, Kenny did say he was just going on break, and that's when he was going to call in. Hopefully he didn't have to go back, but it is a definite possibility. So we'll see if he pops up.
He's no longer in the call.
Okay, he probably had to go back to work.
Apologies, Kenny. We'll get you in the next time, unless he's joining back right now. He looks like he's joining. He joined back.
But Kaylee in the chat said, I feel like many issues with being able to critique films and shows constructively. That's where the real issue lies. They can't articulate why they dislike things without becoming slanderous.
This is true.
Yeah, that's very true.
And that's the thing with most initial criticisms, right? Is that whenever people say, I'm not enjoying this show, no one ever really calls them out for saying that, right? At least to my knowledge, they don't ever say, hey, why did you say you don't enjoy this show? You're a racist. It's typically, I'm not really enjoying this show. And then everyone's like, cool, you know, that's your thing. Because they don't have black elves. And then you're like, well, now that's a little different. So,
And that's typically what I come across.
yeah.
You know.
So I think this system can fairly work. If I had my laptop set up, you know, this is obviously the beta of live call-ins, but I think it largely works. I think Kstanzi was a great conversation, and we, you know, that went without a hitch.
Yeah, I see. Darkness said ready when you guys are. She's still showing it's not visible, so hopefully that works. But anyone else also feel free to join.
Can you guys still see me? Kenny, are you here? Can you say something?
He sees us.
I don't know what's going on with your camera.
But another thing I think is worth mentioning is there are times where I think people are more interested in not being labeled as anything than they actually care about that thing. So like a critique you'll hear is like a woman character is just poorly written, and what it is it's not written the way that they typically like their female characters to be written. I've never seen that complaint about a male character. Why? Because you can write a male character any way you want.
Yes, no, maybe so.
We can see him.
Hello, Kenny.
Hello, guys.
What's up, buddy?
Not much. How you guys been doing?
Fantastic.
Welcome to the hot seat.
Right? So I definitely love the conversation thus far. First off, like just addressing not only the whole positivity thing, but just addressing bad takes overall.
Did you say
Everything said.
toxicity?
I like that. No, I love that. That's what it is from now on. Positox. I hate them Positox.
Jesus, that sounds like a transformer.
There you go, Hasbro.
Roll out.
Right? But no, everything's been said so far is absolutely beautiful. You guys do a great job. So glad that you guys got over to 100 episodes, and I hope you get to more. But let's go to 500. Let's put a big ass goal.
6 seasons in a movie.
Yeah. We'll have 3 episode arcs. But
Oh my God.
I think largely the system will work out just fine for live call and community days. I wasn't prepared for this computer to be overloaded by 2 calls, which is weird. But
That's crazy, because you're usually a lot better with the technology.
Well, Video Ninja be Video Ninja. I think like what they do with the calls is very advanced. You know, being able to get people's feeds into separate browser sources is advanced as hell. So like there's a lot of CPU usage for the director. And so to be the director of 2 calls is a little bit, it's a little bit, ambitious to say the least. So the system can work. I just have to have my laptop here, which is just the other system for the other call, and it'll work out just fine. Because we didn't drop any frames. The network wasn't bad. It was just my computer was the CPU
being dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Video Ninja's server based, but going into his computer to OBS with all these streams, which is going back up. So yeah, there's a lot of moving parts there. But yeah, did you have anything specific you wanted to talk about?
Yes, I after talking with Harris and a few other guys about the new book that just got dropped, I think this week, or at least announced this week, Secrets of the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah.
There's some logo stuff in there that kind of hint that Hondo might be showing up in live action.
Let's see here. Expected on Tuesday with Convergence.
So on the picture itself, and I can't tell if it's fan art or if that's the official book entry, but you see Din with Grogu on the top right corner.
Right. We see this.
Hint to possible season 3 or Ahsoka. Thoughts?
I mean, what's the hint that he's just back with Grogu? Because we saw that in.
How would Hondo know about Din, let alone Grogu?
So it's from Hondo's perspective.
Since this is supposed to be taking place through Hondo's perspective, that means he would have to have some sort of like interaction with them in some capacity. And so far in canon, we have never seen them have any interaction.
Well, it could be an art thing where it's just the art, and Hondo knows about Din. You know, because like in Secrets of the Jedi, Luke had pretty much like profiles on all of the masters and stuff, Aayla Secura and stuff.
But timeline wise, no, because Kenny's got a point. Like Luke had information on all the masters because they all preceded him. Hondo is furthest we've seen him in the timeline is 5 years before A New Hope. So this just tells us that he continued to rock afterwards. But I'm trying to remember Adventures in Wild Space. When did that take place?
See, this is why I dropped it with you guys, because I figured you had way more knowledge than I ever will, which is one of the reasons why I love you too. You guys have got like a world of freaking knowledge that I wish I had.
We love you 3000.
Tears, emotional damage. Why?
Hondo is alive during the sequels. He is, yes. Adventures in Wild Space.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find out like just timeline stuff. It'll be really interesting. I mean, I will be picking up this book.
Yes,
when it comes out for sure.
Right, right. The concept of Hondo having a viewpoint, because we've seen this before in canon. We saw Dooku's life through Ventress's eyes in Lost Jedi or Jedi Lost. So to me, this is kind of interesting given who Hondo is. Like, is he going to be telling the truth? Are these going to be exaggerations? Like, what is going to be considered true within this book? Like, he could go completely off the scales with like, oh, Boba was just this random low rank bounty hunter who thought he was god tier when we know different.
This is true. I mean, it's going to be an interesting book to say the least, especially with it being Hondo's perspective. As to whether or not he knows Din, I mean, we all know that Din has a reputation amongst the guild. So him being a bounty hunter and people knowing about Din is not something that we need to explain. And I think that him with Grogu is just an art choice, but we'll see. It's possible that they do know each other.
And that's the other thing why I love. That's an understatement. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring. That's one of the reasons why I brought it up to you guys, because I figured you'd have a neutral viewpoint of it, but I was curious if you had theories on it. If this is not the first time you've heard about it, but I'm going to assume this is the first time you've heard about it.
This is the first time.
Yeah, this is the first time I've heard about it. But yeah, like Pep said, right? Mandalorian takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi, right? So he already has a reputation to his name. Din does. So it stands to reason. The question is, when did he develop that reputation? And would people who are in the bounty hunting or related to the bounty hunting trade be aware of him even earlier than the general population? And if so, he could potentially know him. But yeah, if he's rolling with him and Grogu, I would absolutely watch that. My preference, though, would be for him to show up in Ahsoka, because it would be really cool to see if
that's what Harris and CJ Star Wars was talking about. He was like, yeah, I would love to see him in Ahsoka more, since he has more of that relationship with her. Just a little bit
my
more
old
emotional
friend,
damage.
Jabba the
Or seeing Ahsoka,
My, how you've
Ezra,
grown, Jabba.
and Hondo together. Oh my god, that would be. Oh my god. What?
Wow, you've grown up, Ahsoka. Why am I feeling such weird things? You look like Rosario Dawson. I can't help myself.
So
Oh my
now
God.
that while you're here,
Yes.
Saruna Temi asks in the chat, do you think Mava left a hologram message with the droid B2 emo for Cassian? Maybe something about what really happened to his sister. That would be kind of cool. I mean, yeah.
It would be. It'd
Cassian
be a
comes back
massive.
to the house, and then he pops up. This is Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. No, I'm just kidding. That'd be cool.
It would be interesting. It would be heavy emotional damage. Let's be fair here. We're all going to cry if that's the truth.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like that's kind of like exposition dumping, almost like a fan idea than actual good writing.
Okay.
There's a certain message he could relay from the grave. Spoilers alert, we're at episode 11.
I mean, he could very well say something about there is extra information, like maybe Marva had also been looking for Cassian's sister all this time, and has leads of her own. Yes, it could be done very cheesy, but it's just about how creative you can get with the writing. Although I will say I am starting to lean more into the camp of Marva is alive.
Think she faked her death.
So the question becomes, well, then why wouldn't they tell B2 emo? And that answer is in the first episode. It takes him extra power to tell a lie. And
Good point.
so they couldn't tell him. And I think Marva is too big of a character to die off screen unceremoniously like that. And we know there is something afoot, right? Just the way he's like, no, you have to stay here and help the daughters because with a matter of grave importance. If Marva was able to fake her own death because she was being watched so carefully, this could free her up to do something in the sewers underneath the hotel without any eyes on her. I don't know. It's possible. But the lying thing was like, oh, that's there had to be a reason we got that nugget. This would be payoff for that. But I don't know.
It's good logic though. Like that's very fair logic coming from just a small line of dialogue. And we've seen that in this entire series thus far. Just that one small bit of information changes everything.
Yeah.
Regardless of how large it is.
Brian says Marva definitely isn't dead. General Skiva says, I think so too. And then Harris said, I think Marva is dead. It's just like how Clem's death didn't get shown. Skiva says
His body was shown.
Show the dead. They give us closure. She's going out with a bang for sure. Yeah. I think it would be really interesting if they did. It would definitely go towards the narrative that they are more organized than.
Which would make sense on Luthen's case as well, because Luthen has been trying to get more and more rebel cells together who are better organized. Hence the reason why he went after Saul in the first place.
It could
But
be.
damn, that like Minerva being just that overly cautious doesn't seem right. And the last time we saw her, she was not in the best of health at all.
Yeah.
Even if it was a fake.
Well, it could be that there is a unintended consequence to this. She could have faked her death to rid Cassian of his last link to come back to Ferrix. But in actuality, it's like a double-edged sword, and it makes him go back anyway. You know, she's like, "Stay away. The Empire's presence here is astronomical. So I'm dead. So don't come back." But it just makes him come back anyway.
I'm betting that she's using her own funeral as cover to try and get into the hotel to save Bix. That's where my money's going.
That'd be interesting.
Who's the
My
one
only
person
thing
you
is-
don't expect to see at the funeral? Marva.
But at
And-
the same time, now that I'm thinking about it, what would be even more emotional damage is seeing Minerva alive. She's doing everything that you said, saving Bix from the hotel.
Just call
And
her
then
Minerva.
Cyril comes out of...
This is
Yes, I
Star
did,
Wars,
sorry.
not Harry Potter.
Sorry. Saving Bix.
Attention, Miss
And then-
McGonagall. Kenny's looking for you. Professor
Then
McGonagall.
what's his face comes up out of nowhere, shoots her, and that's how she dies. And then we all hate him all over again.
Cyril, you mean?
Yes, Cyril.
Cyril's gonna get in the way no matter what.
Mhm.
Whether he like tackles Dedra by the waist and says, "I need your justice," or
Oh my god.
or he tackles Cassian and allows Cassian to escape. I think Cyril's gonna get in the way.
I think Cyril's gonna hold up Cassian the same exact way Cassian held him up in episode 3. Like Cassian will be sneaking somewhere and a gun gets pointed at his head. And then that's when Marva comes in and then saves him. and then Dedra comes in and shoots both Marva and Cyril. Cassian still escapes. I really want her.
Oh,
I really want Dedra to kill Cyril.
which is sad because I
He's
actually
not
like his
going
character. Like I hate the character, but I love his character overall. If that makes sense.
As a
Like, he's an
as a
interesting
it's
character.
concept,
Oh, why do they make bad guys so interesting? I hate Star Wars half the time.
yeah. Well, that stuff is usually more interesting than the people that you can directly relate to. Like, someone's doing good, you're like, got it. All right, that's it. If someone shows a little bit of tumult in their like morality or their ethics, it's like,
That's why I love Dooku.
yeah. Dooku's also like everything that he hated. But that's a
He's
topic
straight
for
up.
another conversation anyway.
Yep. Lounge.
Oh, we have a couple of conversations upcoming. We still have next Friday is going to be releasing Are the Jedi a Cult with Choco
Which,
and
no.
DePaul.
That's a no on my book. I'll be watching, but that's a no.
Okay.
There's
that's a
no
short
way.
Conversation.
Now, Pep, would you be interested in doing one of our bets of Cyril dies in the next episode?
Oh,
That's your bet?
I
I'll
think he's
take
gonna
that
die
bet.
in the next episode.
I'll take that bet for sure. Kenny's probably going to want to get in on this too.
not
Although we do
betting.
not
No, I
endorse
don't have
gambling.
money for that. But if he doesn't survive, that'd be an interesting plot twist, given that they've developed him so well. I was going to assume that he survives the first season and then maybe dies sometime in the second season.
No, I mean based on the interviews of him and Dedra, the actors, the way he describes Cyril's journey, I don't think he's going to die. So I can take that bet. What do you want to bet? One chip challenge?
Yeah.
Oh my God, no.
There we go.
I'm immediately out.
If
I have a weak heart. I have a weak heart as it is. I get heartburn real quick. No.
Hey, man, it's not a bet unless like something's at stake, whether it be monetary or physical.
God, I wouldn't be able to work.
Hey,
I'd have to take a day off.
Hey, that would be reason to.
Yeah, and then I can jump on Dyad and do it live. Ooh.
So yeah,
Do a live one.
Oh yeah,
well,
well I'll do it live. I'll be doing it live. I would save it till the end of Dyad.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to continue. So if Cyril dies next episode, Choco will have the one chip, and if he doesn't, if he dies, I will do the one chip challenge next week. And if he doesn't die, Choco will do the one chip challenge next week on Dyad in the Force.
This is going to get interesting.
It already is. You can also,
I got to get back to work, guys.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
thank you for joining.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah,
Always a
so
pleasure.
sorry.
Absolutely. May the Force be with you.
May the force be with you guys. Have a good one, everyone.
All right. We do have a little over 20 or so minutes left in the episode. If we can get another caller in. I say caller, but you're just joining a website. The link is pinned onto the top of chat. You click that link and put in the password Dyad in the Force, and we will get you in the call to answer your question or talk about anything you want to talk about. We see that Brian's in the chat. We have DePaul. We have Young. We have Harith. Young says, I can call in and simp about Brasso. You can.
Yeah.
That's what these are all about. You can do whatever you want. Brian says, excuse me, Cyril can't die yet, which is my thoughts. But since the bet is already placed, elaborate on why you think Cyril's going to die, other than the fact that you think he's going to die.
The way his story is shaping up, at least in my head, I'm not certain we have years with the character, and especially if next season every 3 episodes is going to represent a full year, I think there's going to be a lot less room to tell a complete and complex story of that character throughout that period of time. I think that his story comes full circle if it ends here on Ferrix. I could very well be wrong. I probably am, but I think the bets make it interesting, and it gives y'all a good reason to come back next week and to see me lose a bet.
I definitely.
But I don't ever bet or invest anything that as soon as I do, I consider it lost. So that's how I roll.
Just like 3 ninjas. Never take a battle unless you're sure you can win. I'm pretty sure he's not going to die. Brian says I'd say there's a better chance of Luthen dying before Cyril. I also have to remember to buy the one chip challenge. I think it's on Amazon, right? Am I mistaken? Or is there something you can go to the market to get?
I thought it was at the gas station still. But I could be wrong.
Nope, they have it right here. The Pocky one chip challenge. It's $20 for a chip. Are you kidding me?
Oh,
that's basically the freaking.
Than I thought.
That's basically the bet anyway, right? $20.
Yeah, I mean we can pick it up with Dyad money.
Oh, I did not see that coming. I thought it was just really spicy, but the one chip challenge is the freaking Carolina Reaper. Oh, gosh. So my threshold is around habanero and jalapeno. I'll eat those peppers all day and not break a sweat. I've never had a Ghost Reaper or a Carolina Reaper or any kind of like really, really extreme spice.
I mean, my favorites are about like Ghost is where I typically am.
Really?
You know, I'm the weirdo that goes to a Thai restaurant in Norwich at 5 out of 5, and then they go, "Are you sure?" And then I have to argue with them to let me. So we'll see. Now, I enjoy it coming in, going out, not so much. But that's a problem for future Choco. We'll let future Choco deal with that.
What do we think of the chances of Bix's survival or rescue in the season finale? Cassian swoops into the rescue. I don't think they're ballsy enough to get rid of Bix.
Bix survives, but she's never the same again.
Yeah. I only bet when I'm certain. I've never lost a bet I made with my friends or family. I think that's typically my MO. And my wife will attest to this. I'm always like, $20. And then she goes, "You never gamble," and I'm like, "I'm not gambling here." my spice is too white. I mean, I'm too white. My spice threshold is salt. Salt isn't a spice, but I get what you're saying. Y'all should do a Hot Ones challenge. That could be the next one for sure. I think Hot Ones does sell that as a package, right?
Yeah, Hot Ones.
You gotta make your own
some chips, and yeah,
you gotta make your own wings, and then they sell the Hot Ones challenge as like all of the sauces they use.
You know what? I mean, we wanted to do reactions to new things. I think we have a niche. So Connor, if you're still in the chat, whenever you send snacks from the UK, we'll do that. But let's also figure out what's the most sour thing in the world. What's I think it could be interesting.
We also do like the mystery jelly bean one too.
Oh yeah,
like Barf and Booker. I don't know if I can do that.
The burger ones were saltier than I expected, but
we do have a call. Okay, transferring now. Hello.
Hi, you guys.
Welcome to Dyad in the Force.
Thanks so much. I didn't think that I'd be able to get on this soon because we've been talking about it the past couple times. I jumped in your lives.
It's fine.
Always a pleasure having you on, though.
Absolutely. So what did you want to talk about?
I wanted to talk about my friend Bix. I'm very concerned about her right now.
Bix okay?
I'm
Is she
wanting
all right?
to see what your thoughts are on her return, possibly coming, back from close to death right now.
First of all, you have a great cosplay.
Thank you so much.
Second of all, I don't think it makes any logical sense for Bix to die.
I apologize.
Oh, I thought that was Suki.
Yeah, I'm hoping that she doesn't go, but perhaps we might lose her. You guys, you had me scared on your podcast, Choco, last time because pretty much everyone was in agreement that she was going to be gone very soon, and I was concerned as hell.
I'm more along the lines of she will survive, but she is never going to quite be the same. But that will leave her very, very motivated in the future. And I mean, Bix gets what Bix wants.
Do you think it's going to be like Bodhi kind of changes though, where it's not that noticeable? I'm just hoping she's not totally fried. But then they were talking about those Imperials that they first found that were listening to the Dyzanite screams, and they were hidden underneath a desk, shivering, they were the time.
Yeah, it's definitely.
First of all, that sweater is adorable.
She's not mine. I'm a dog sitter. I'm actually, I'm just chilling with her for the night.
What's her
Yeah.
name?
Such a good girl. Her name's Chloe.
Okay.
Perfect little purse dog, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. I do like this sweater too. I do think, like, man, Bix looked rough.
Oh yeah.
And if she isn't changed by the time she escapes, that would be surprising. But I don't think she is in any risk of being more than I guess traumatized, which is a bad thing to say. But
Yeah. What do you think the likelihood is that Cassian would be the one to save her, though? Because I know he's probably going back to Ferrex. I really think that he's going to do it. I know it's not a smart move on his part, but I think he will.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That's a tough question.
That is a tough question because of the way that they've shaped the whole story. I still think it's Marva that's going to get her out. Marva and the daughters of Ferrex, and I think Cassian is going to arrive not knowing what's going on with Bix at all, and then we'll just be plopped into a situation, and I think he's going to get Bix back, but
well, if you think about it,
Marva.
What the heck is going on with Marva either? He's going there if he does go to Ferrex, which I assume he's going to make that silly decision for the second time. He's going to go back to Ferrex and he's going to assume that his mom is long gone already, so he's going to, it's probably, I know that woman is alive. I know that they just wrapped up some pillows in a blanket and they were like, oh, our dear friend Marva.
And the reason that they described what they do as a funeral is for us to know that when they do the ceremony, it's going to be putting a brick in the wall. And that kind of obscures the fact, there's obviously not going to be a body in the casket or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm after thinking about what you guys said on the podcast last week, it makes me firmly on that side.
Yeah. And then she has that whole mention of, she was talking about those tunnels beneath the hotel, and they were acting in the beginning when Bix was speaking to her about it, she's like, oh yeah, she's kind of losing it, she's kind of dementia right now, and she's saying that she's going to sneak in some rebels through the tunnels beneath the hotel and stuff like that. But I'm like, this is all going to come to fruition. This woman she's gonna do it. She had a master plan. She's going out with a bang. I know it.
Who was it who said that line? I'm trying to remember who said that she was losing it.
I think it was Dedra.
It was either Bix or I can't remember his name. The guy with the black hair. He's a bit taller. He was kind of helping take care of Marva too.
Yeah. Oh, you haven't talked about Brasso yet.
Oh yes, we haven't.
So your thoughts? I think so. So to me, Brasso, M'Baku, same energy.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think Brasso is a little less combative than him, but yeah, definitely same.
Different upbringing.
Big teddy bear energy,
Yeah.
I think it was Young that wanted to simp over Brasso.
Oh, okay. I didn't see the. Sorry, I actually don't have the chat up right now.
How dare you?
Myself, can't help it. Since the road days, I've been there.
Welcome back to Carter, by the way. I haven't seen Carter in a while.
Welcome back, Carter.
I do not think you can drink water for a certain amount of time also. Is this for the one chip challenge? I mean, I don't plan to be a coward. I plan to just do it and suck it up.
So, where is this chip on the Scoville scale?
It's a Carolina Reaper, so I don't know.
So it's up there.
Yes.
It's not like last stab level, but it's on the way.
Is the last stab? Now I have to look it up. Carolina Reaper Scoville. Let's see here. 2 million. And a
Yeah, I don't-
habanero is 500,000. Okay, so I'm not that far.
And you're gonna be doing this on live. Make sure you have some milk. Both of yous.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have my vape, which is cool to the touch, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think any kind of liquid helps, to be honest.
Really? I heard that like sometimes like milkshakes, like dairy products can help a little bit. Then I saw on Hot Ones one time, Gordon Ramsay was like squeezing lemons in his mouth, and I'm like, bro, I don't know how that's helping you right now. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh yeah, no, I'm an avid bread person.
Yeah.
And you don't like chew it. You kind of just like put it in between your tongue and the roof of your mouth and just kind of let it sit there.
Oh,
But anything that like washes things around typically helps it perpetuate even further. It might lessen the sting to a degree, but you're still moving that stuff around and agitating it.
Yeah, I have an inappropriate story about that happening, but maybe I should save that for another time.
Let's see here. Kay said Bix isn't allowed to die until she marries Crix Medine. Crix and Bix, they should found a cereal company, and that Cyril will eat, right? 'Cause that's all he does is eat cereal.
Strong, independent woman. She doesn't need no guys. But I wouldn't be totally mad if she got back together with Cassian. I know that's probably not going to happen in the time allotted, you know? Because this is only happening like 5 years before Rogue One, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't see him falling in love with her. And then, I mean, some people.
So you ship him and Jin.
I don't necessarily see. I'm kind of weird in that sense because I always saw their relationship as something very platonic. Like even the hug at the end, so many people took that in a very romantic way, and for me, I just didn't. It was very strange, and it was the same thing with. It's funny in the sequel trilogy when Rey and Kylo kiss. I never took that as a romantic kiss either. Is that strange?
No, not at all.
No, I didn't.
No,
see it
I
as-
just thought of it as a kiss of death, you know? It was like a goodbye kiss. I didn't think of it as like a, ooh, you hunky man, get over here kind of kiss, you know?
But it's also kind of an awkward situation of like, this is an almost dead person, and I'm just gonna kiss him right now. You know, like I don't know, sometimes.
Well, the first time I saw that kiss, it like the way that Daisy's face. The expression she has is it looks like someone who's just like grateful that they're alive.
Yeah.
Like you know the phrase, it's like, you know what, I'm so happy I could kiss you right now. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
you're not like in love with the person, you're not romantically like intimate, but you're like, oh my gosh, I love you, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely more how I read it, as in both situations. And I don't know, I've gotten into so many arguments with people over it. They're like, obviously they have chemistry. I'm like, they were arguing for most of the movies. Like,
But the thigh grab.
yeah, lest we forget that.
There was also the on Kef Beer, you know, the only way you're getting to Exegol is with me in a one-seater. But I actually think that they retconned that, right? Wasn't it the fact that like because in The Force Awakens Finn and Poe were theoretically in a one-seater tie, they retconned it in the visual dictionary to be a new unit that is two-seater?
But that's not what he.
Yeah,
took
he's
there.
in
in a TIE Scout.
silencer.
But, huh?
No, because when he says the only way you're getting to Exegol is with me, he's in his silencer, right?
He's in a silencer. I don't know. That's an interesting question because I don't know what is. Sorry, he's in his whisper. Which silencer was way better. But yeah, I would be surprised in it. But it is shockingly spacious inside of a TIE fighter. I don't know if you've ever seen, they have actual like
How do you know
diagrams and stuff.
Yeah, how do you know this?
It's
Choco?
a seat in the middle of this orb, and there's all this space around it, and it looks really weird and awkward. How I know about it was, did we lose it? Oh, okay. How I know about it is from Rebels Recon, the show that they would do after the episodes of Rebels, and when they stole the TIE fighter, Zeb and the main character, I want to call him Aaron for some reason, which is not his name, but they stole a TIE fighter. People asked, how's that possible? And they showed how spacious it is inside of the cabin of one. Maybe I'll make a video on that.
Yeah. I certainly don't have any first-hand experience as to how spacious it is in a die. Let's see here. Kay says, that's just the way I kiss the homies goodbye.
It ain't no fun if the homies can't have none.
Oh, this is interesting. Seruni Temi says, the Rey Kylo kiss spoiled the movie for me. His character does not deserve/earn the salvation. What are you guys' thoughts on that one?
Okay, so I think there is several ideas that bleed together in people's minds of salvation, atonement, recompense. Anyone can choose to make the better choice. You can choose the right path at any point in time. And he previously in the film thought all hope was lost. I can't go back to her. You can't go back to her just like I can't. And the truth is he could if he made that choice. So when he makes that choice, you can say he didn't earn it, but I don't think that matters. He still made that choice.
What do you think, Skivus? Oh, for some reason we can't hear you anymore. Did you accidentally mute when you tried to reawaken your phone? Are you still muted?
Today we're caught in the moment. That happens too. I mean, I feel like that's what happened. Pirates of the Caribbean 3. Was it?
I think
two?
Choco's a little bit robotic right now. I know that's not my end.
And you're me. So what's going on?
I think it is your internet at this time. Because Skivus is just fine for me, except I still can't hear her.
You're super robotic to me as well, but could be.
Is Choco robotic for you? Just thumbs up or thumbs down. Try to rejoin the call if you can. Can you hear me still, Skivus?
I couldn't understand that at all. I don't know who that was for.
This is quite interesting.
On the screen.
I don't know what's happening. I think it might be the server, actually.
I mean, the stream, everyone is frozen on the stream except for Kaylee.
Which is weird. I'm not frozen to me. I think we're back. Are we back? I think we're back, but we still can't hear Kaylee. Is that her name?
Yes. Okay, and I sound normal again on the stream.
I don't know. Maybe, perhaps it was. See, this is why we go through technical difficulties all the time. Because I was trying a new thing called Meshcast, which is server-based versus P2P, and it is relatively doing well, but looks like there are some hiccups here and there. I'm sorry, Kaylee, we still can't hear you. Maybe you can try calling back in.
And if it doesn't end up working, perhaps we found our guest for next week.
Yes, that is true. Let us know in the chat if things are working on your guys' end right now. But hey, this is why things have betas, right? We have to work out the kinks before it's made normal.
Also, if we aren't always pushing our own envelopes, then that's complacency, and that's what led to the downfall of the Jedi, and that will not happen to the Dyad. So we will we'll keep pushing forward.
All systems good for now? Okay. Listen, St. Pat.
This feels like a pilot episode, and I love it. Damn it, man.
St. Pat
That's one of those half compliments, half insults.
St. Pat said, Choco sounds like he is back. I read that as Choco sounds like he's black. That's a weird sentence to read. I'll tell you what, guys. Can you guys still hear me? But it looks like we're like frozen. One second, guys.
Yeah, it's all kinds of messed up at the moment.
I have a new link.
Oh, shotgun.
We're still with you guys. I'm just trying to fix things.
Bacon, bacon, bacon.
Bacon makes a great gift.
Bacon, bacon, pancakes, bacon, bacon, pancakes.
All right, press F in the chat if we are back. Can't hear you, Choco. Did you mute yourself?
Perhaps.
We should be good. Yeah, FF.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
I just reverted off of the mesh cast and went straight back to P2P. Kaylee, if you want to try once again, calling back in. If anybody else wants to call back in to be our last guest before we wrap things up, click on the link in the chats. The password is Dyad in the Force, and we'll get you into this call. It should be working better since I don't have the server running this time and it's just P2P. Yeah, defo pilot up. In fact, since everyone is here so far, and Connor, since you're here, I don't know if you were here earlier to check out the new season 2 intro. But let's see if we can get Kaylee back in here first. Hello.
All right, say something.
Hello?
We heard it. It broke up a little for me, but we heard it.
I smell profit.
Leozomi Hope super chatted a $2.11 ramen drop. I just shat pound 1.79 off lololo.
Okay. That means audio is working. Okay, so I wanted to run this again, guys, for you guys since a lot of people are here. This is the season 2 intro for Dyad and the Force.
The life force of your bond. A power like life itself. Unseen for generations. A dyad in the force.
I think it's pretty.
Welcome back to another episode of Dyad and the Force. Just kidding. Welcome back, Haley. So I guess you're going to be our last guest for this evening. Was there anything else that what were we talking about before? I guess the fan was hit by the proverbial brick, or SHIT.
Well, I was going to say, how the heck does Bix date Tim when Brasso's right there?
Him doesn't seem like a great guy. He has zero trust. He's confused.
I only got the ends of everything you said. I'm so sorry. I heard that. And I think it might be the same thing we had before. Honestly, I think it's a noise gate. I think you might need to speak louder or closer to the phone itself.
Did this happen on high ground as well?
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, but yes.
Can you? Is this
No, it's about the same.
I think what's happening is that the phone is trying to gate the dog.
Background noises, yeah.
Because I can hear some of the dogs breathing, like trying to be canceled.
Can you?
You can hear the dog.
Oh, okay. Why don't you just slow? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see.
Do you have any earbuds?
No, I'm sorry.
That's perfectly fine. Let's see.
I'm sorry. Can you say it again?
You can pick her up again.
I'm sorry.
You
It's
absolutely
very
fine. Young says because Brasso is hubby material, Tim is a pity case. Travis says it's nice to see the acknowledgement of Disney having an agenda. Not saying it's good or bad, just that it's arguably there. I don't know what that means. Of course, these things are important issues to many people, but I think for some fans, it makes them sad to see Star Wars treated as perhaps nothing more than a vehicle for progressivism. When it's so much more than that, regardless of that opinion, nothing ever justifies bullying, trolling, hating, or abusing others for their personal views. To that, I would have to ask, what's the agenda? I honestly don't understand what people mean when they say that. So yeah, if you could elaborate on that, I would love to hear it. Looks like Chloe is a lot happier now.
Yeah, she's a very neat girl.
We can hear you a little bit better now.
Oh, good.
But it's difficult to parse.
Okay. So sorry. I don't change. Same setting. Everything.
It's weird. Let me see if I can't alleviate some of this for you as the director.
Okay, thank you so much.
Let's see. Conspiracy Can't See It says browser.
Okay, that didn't work.
Browser reminds me of live action Super Mario Brothers from the 90s. He does kind of look like Mario, like he could be like their older brother or something in that. Let's see. Young says Star Wars has always been progressive and a commentary on the current state of affairs. which is true. That's always been kind of what George was pushing. Like the empire was based off of America. But yeah.
Say something now.
Hello.
Still happening. The noise gate is off. But I
Our
think
internal noise
but it
gate,
is,
but we don't know what the phone is trying to do automatically.
yeah. See, the thing is, echo cancellation is also on, and when I turn it off,
Because there's no headphones, so
yeah, and it's
everything we
hearing
say
us.
becomes a feedback loop into the mic.
What? I can. You guys want? Without
I mean, this is all like we're all trying to work out the kinks anyway to taking calls live. But we'll definitely have you back next week.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll just have to reiterate the importance of headphones.
Yeah. Okay. I will bring headphones next time.
Perfect.
I do
Beautiful.
understand that.
Thank you very much, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you for
calling.
joining. And
Thank
have
you.
also say bye to Chloe, everyone in the chat.
Bye. Okay, so maybe it wasn't my computer that couldn't handle the call. Right? Maybe it was that Meshcast server.
Yeah, could have been the server itself. It's I don't know. It's interesting. I wonder if. Well, no, never mind. Maybe we can talk about that offline.
We'll see if I can.
So Connor said she looked so much like Bix, it was crazy. Yeah, so she actually has a Bix cosplay. And so go ahead and check out her channel. She is General Skeevis on the Tiki Tacs, as Young likes to say.
One moment. See if I can't do this. From here now. Okay. So I have the other call. Again, guys, we're looking for our last guest to call in. If you want to call in from your phone, if you want to do something else, just click the link on the top of the chat, and the password is Dyad in the Force.
Yes. Choco,
I
have you ever had
smell
G
profit.
So Unite Amaya Konioye super chatted a $2.11 ramen drop. Was a good chat until the interruption.
It's always a good conversation until an interruption, right?
Yeah, we always have fun.
Thank you, Surunitemi, for the, I think that's $2 ramen drop. Appreciate the support.
And Travis, I'm not saying you're right or wrong, and I've seen people make commentary on it, which is what the first guest said. He's spoken to people that have. I'm just curious what it is. I always see this word agenda thrown out, and I want someone to explain what is the agenda. And what I mean by that is, from my perspective, there's been a lot of stories. There's been a lot of people that have been excluded from Hollywood in general over the years. And those people are no longer being excluded. I don't see that as an agenda. I see that as removing an agenda, if more than anything else. But I'm curious what you are referring to when you say agenda.
Let me see if I can't. Oh, we do have someone waiting in the wings. Our last guest, who's apparently going to simp over Brasso. Let's bring Young into the call. Hello. You're live on Dyad in the Force.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Sure they
Yay.
could.
Hi.
How are
How
you?
are you?
How exciting. Oh shit, I'm having a reverb. Hang on.
Oh, we are not hearing it. You must also have the YouTube volume on still.
Yep, that's it. Yeah. I
Um,
think it worked. How are you
Did
guys?
work, but you are massive on. Hold on.
Oh crap.
No, that's on something I have to do on the back end for me. Here we go.
Hey, R2D2 Cup. I seen that. And are you all moved? Because this is a room I've never seen before.
You've seen this. This is my childhood bedroom.
Oh.
Yeah, this is where I was at during the ANDOR watch party.
Oh,
How does it feel to be back home? I will take silence and the bigness in your eyes as indication on how you feel.
I mean, my parents are good people. There is definitely a generational gap between us because I am a younger, well, I guess you could say younger millennial because I guess I'm a little bit more on the back end, but they are baby boomers. So the past few years it's been a little bit harder for me to attempt to connect with my parents. So, yeah.
let's see here.
I don't know if any of that got through on the stream, so I'm sorry to everybody.
No, it went through.
It all went through, but we all feel you. If I love my mom and her husband. It would be difficult living with them. Although that may end up happening more for their sake than mine, but my mom has a lot of health issues. So anyhow, yeah, it's tough out there.
I mean, I'm not paying rent in this economy, and I'm back home, and I've always felt safer where my childhood home is compared to where I was living before. So that tends to help. But
you have parents that don't make you pay rent? Anyways.
Sorry if that triggered anything.
I'm still paying rent, but it is at a reduced, family discount. But it is, it is quite a help, at least.
Yeah.
I was paying rent at 17, so.
What's funny
it's
is
a whole different thing.
What's funny is that my rent in Roseville was like $750 for 3 bedrooms.
But that was a different time, man.
It was a different time. It's obviously a different city, but like for 3 bedrooms, that is unheard of.
Yeah, in Portland in Northeast, we were paying $760 for a big 3-bedroom. So I had 2 roommates, and we each paid like $250.
Oh my gosh. It's hard to believe those times actually existed.
And one of them couldn't keep up with the rent. And one time I saw him standing in front of the refrigerator eating my food.
Oh no, immediate eviction out.
Yeah. DePaul says you are always welcome to California when you get fired over there. Oh, tired of there.
I appreciate that, DePaul, but I still need to find a job first.
I
and
smell
the cost-
profit.
Conspiracy Cantina super chatted a $2 ramen drop. Got to
I
hear
love
it while
super
talking
chatting.
money.
Thanks for that ramen drop, DePaul. Going
So
towards the one-chip
DePaul is
challenge.
just buying a new house, and so if you have a room for Mr. and Mrs. Choco, let me know. I'll hit you up real quick. Anyways, we wanted to talk a bit about Brasso.
Yes.
Is that what I heard?
Yes. Someone, I can't remember who it was. Oh no. Someone on
Dark Side
TikTok.
Divas.
Dark Side Divas, and there was somebody else who stitched her, and now I cannot remember. I can see her face, but I cannot remember her
Was
user.
it Kier or
No,
Boba Fett?
a Boba Fett. I think it was Boba Fett, but she's like, she's all, oh wait, you mean blow my back up, Brasso? I'm like, I don't know.
Do you agree with my assessment of Brasso and M'Baku share the same energy? Different context, same energy.
Brasso.
No, because M'Baku is more of a always going to be a leader, and I can't remember who said it, but he's a lot more combative than Brasso. Whereas Brasso, this is going to sound so bad, but he's more of kind of like a supporting character, because again, the thing that I love about him is that he's able to infer a lot about his surroundings, like when the corporate law enforcement came to Narkina, and he was able to put 2 and 2 together immediately. He's like, all right, I gotta help my boy out, even though he owes me so much money and is a pain in my ass. I need to help him out. Because his reaction to that was just immediate, and I appreciate people who are able to make inferences quickly. But on the term of energy, I don't think so. I'm sorry. I'm not sure I agree with that assessment.
That's fair.
It's perfectly so if you were to...
How dare you disagree with me with...
I'm sorry, Choco. I thought we were friends. I'm sorry.
if you were to fuse them together, would it be Embrasso or would it be Braku?
M'Braku.
Braku sounds like an alternate universe Saiyan.
Jesus.
That's what I'm hearing. No, for me, I thought both of them were such great examples of positive masculinity. Where
okay, yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah. Strong, decisive, takes action immediately when action is necessary. However, can see what the people he cares about are going through and is able to become approachable. Like the strength is not a crutch. It's not there to people who are strong don't need to tell you that they're strong. They just can be strong, but that also allows them to be soft when other people need it.
I can see that. I mean, I think M'Baku is a little bit of a showboater, especially when he arrives at the challenge in both instances.
Well, that's just some flavor, you know. It's
a bit of a showboater. I feel like Brasso...
You just put a little seasoning salt on it. Larry seasoning salt.
I mean, I have nothing wrong with seeing M'Baku at the challenges in any capacity, so that's just me.
It definitely tracks, you know, when people have to be like, I'm not misogynist. Not all men.
But I also appreciate how soft he was with B2, and that was again, y'all know me and B2. I adore my baby droid.
That voice is it's so sad. Like
when he said, "I don't want to be alone. I want Marva," my heart broke. I'm like, this is not okay, writers. What is wrong with you?
Could you stay?
I thought that was so funny. He still maintained his sass. He's like, I mean, I don't want to go. It's like, bitch, you've been charging all day. You could stay.
And I love B2. You know, we had a bunch of episodes without B2, and I'm so happy that those weren't wasted, that we're coming back to it. Do you think we will wrap around all the way back to the first plot line that was dropped of Cassian looking for his sister?
I would like to, but now that Marva's dead, I know you guys wanted to be alive so badly, and I would love to as well, but Jamal and I actually we've recorded our reaction episode to this episode for our podcast, and one of the things about Andor is that it shows not like, you know, the big players, but more of like the everyday person, and a lot of the deaths that we have seen are big and grandiose, or just like whereas Marva, she is just kind of an everyday person. For us, she is a protagonist or antagonist, depending on how you feel about her. But for her to die alone in the cold kind of tracks with just showing like the lifespan of an everyday person in this world, as opposed to, you know, a general or rebel leader or something like that. So I agree with you guys. I would love for her to be alive, but I think she's dead. So with her being dead, I don't know. I like what you guys said about her potentially having recorded like a deathbed message onto B2, and we kind of get a Help Me Obi-Wan Kenobi type projection that explains that plot hole, because we all know that Marvin knows something. Stop searching, bitch. What do you know? So, I hope so, but I don't know how it'll happen.
Well, I just need somehow for the fire that's in her heart to be transferred to Cassian, which we're almost there. We're almost there. He called in. He called back to say he would be proud of me for what I did. So we'll see. I just, but you are absolutely right. Andor has been doing what the High Republic has been doing so well as not giving people plot armor. People die. People you care about die, and it just happens. And that's why I've been saying Andor Star Wars without plot armor. That your enemies can shoot and hit their shots. You just have to be behind other people first, which is how Cassian got out of prison.
Yeah, that pretty much says it.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what's going to happen. And I do think a lot of bombing of the Ferrex buildings, so the desecration of their dead, is going to happen. Because the fact that Deidre wants to use a cultural funeral ceremony to as bait and to box people in, I'm like, damn, that is cold. But that tracks with what we saw with Aldoni using the eye ceremony as just making it harder and harder for them to access.
Let's see here. Choco, Travis answered you if you wanted to.
Yeah, he said, I think the agenda would be, as you said, to purge the previous people with an agenda to gatekeep. And in the other direction, subtly or overtly promote, or at least be validating and inclusive to all. Which is a positive thing in itself. However, some fans feel that when the inclusivity can feel shoehorned into the storyline, it can sometimes detract from the plot and the main characters. And I can understand that some people might feel like this, but it's just not true. When I hear people talk of agendas, typically it just means that there's people of color and women in prominent roles. Now, some people may like or may dislike that particular story. And here's the thing, a lot of people disliked the prequels when they came out. But that part of this discussion never came about. They didn't dislike it because it was centered around white people. If you dislike a story, maybe you just dislike the story. I think the framing of it as an agenda is the problem, because all it is no longer excluding people from the narrative. And projects like Andor and like Wakanda Forever have proven to be significant to a lot of people and highly profitable in the film space, because sometimes seeing these other cultures and seeing other people's perspectives is refreshing. These are things that we've never gotten to see or experience before, and it's adding some flavor to it. So I guess both things exist. Just more often than not, when I hear agenda, it's
a negative connotation.
Yes, it's portrayed negatively, because I think there are truly bigoted people who hide behind this anti-woke movement, and those are not the people that, if the people who genuinely don't like certain things for those reasons, if those people would call out the actual bigots and actual sexist people in the fandom, be a different story. But if you shield those people, then all of them get lumped in together, and I think that's part of the problem. But yeah, sorry, we're probably not the path you wanted to come down when you joined us, Young.
Don't worry about it. No, these are good conversations to have, and if I need to hop off to allow I'm sorry, the name, to call in to have more discussion about this, I'm more than happy to.
Oh no, you're absolutely fine, and I know you have thoughts on this as well. How do you feel?
You're our last guest.
I mean, it does. I'm just trying to think of like the negative connotation with agenda. What agenda? Especially in Star Wars, because it's, as many people have alluded to, it's a galaxy, and the excluding people who look like us. Sorry to exclude anybody else, but like to look like us to not exist in that world is strange. And I don't understand how showing that representation is agenda or woke. And when you said something about seeing the representation in media, like with Wakanda Forever, because of Black Panther, or let's try that again, Black Panther paved the way for Marvel to kind of explore more people of color centered stories. Like because of Wakanda Forever, or sorry, Black Panther, we got Shang-Chi. And seeing Katie's family as a Asian American family portrayed on screen, I'm like, yep, I see it. And I know it that type of family dynamic is seen throughout all cultures, but every culture has their own, I guess, a specific flavor of how that plays out, of how that family dynamic plays out. Just to see that on screen, and also for Shang-Chi, for it to not be stereotypical in the way that we have seen it before. I mean, yes, it's a kung fu movie with Asian people. That's its own little stereotype, but in general, it wasn't super stereotypical.
It wasn't.
And now we have, yeah, exactly. So, and now with Wakanda Forever, we have the Mesoamerican representation, which I love. It's just bringing more exposure to those different cultures that we normally don't get to see in a more Caucasian-centered society. Because my TikTok now is full of a lot of like Mesoamerican archaeology facts and whatnot. I'm like, that's super cool. I want to know more about this. So using the term agenda, and again, no offense to original comment, I'm so sorry, I don't have the chat pulled up, so I don't know your
It's Travis, and he's a personal friend of mine. I've known him for years.
So again, this is not an attack on you, Travis, with your comments in any capacity. Like, again, this is a really good conversation to have, and
we love
just
Travis.
to talk about. But for there to be an agenda, I don't get it. I think that would be my main wrap up for that.
To me, agenda is so. I always, whenever I debate something, I always have to establish the definition or the meaning of the word that the person means, right? And that's primarily because we draw utility from the words based on the definition that we associate with it, right? So that's why, when we talk about occults, like what definition are you operating off of versus, the definition that we know. Because you come from two different perspectives and angles at this, and you guys might be agreeing on something if you hadn't established that meaning. So agenda, to me, the way it's used today, it seems the construct of the word seems to have like this thing. Agenda to me means that there is a movement against what is the norm. And so the usage of the word agenda has a very adversarial connotation to it. So for example, if you're used to the norm of like for the past 50 years of Hollywood cinema, where all of the protagonists were straight white cis men, and then like the next 5 movies that comes out, it's a person of color, it's a queer person, or something other than a white cis het man, and you say this is an agenda, it's very adversarial, because you're just arguing against what you're used to. And no one really has an agenda, right? They just want to represent more people.
I mean, I would argue that the agenda is to make money.
That's
that's
the main agenda.
So Travis says, let me reiterate that I love seeing this inclusivity just as much. Malicious agenda is what people hear implied, but I use the word simply to mean purpose. And so for that, I fully agree. And Travis, I love you, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like you know, and that's why I asked for the clarification, because I would get a very different answer from from certain people when it comes to that. For me, though, one of the big things that it comes down to is the rapid rate that we're getting geeky media from. If you continue to have the same type of person, you can only make movies every other year. If you're going to start dropping 4 or 5 projects per year, you gotta to prevent it from being the same story over and over again. You need different perspectives. You need different areas. You need different cultures. Right? This is no longer. I'm an avid studier of marketing, and this falls into marketing. Once upon a time, we had a manufacturer's mindset of this factory produces right-handed scissors. That's all we make, and then we need to convince left-handed people to buy it, right? That's no longer the case now, right? We no longer have a limited shelf space. Actually, I made a video on this recently. Like, if a movie theater only had 4 screens, it's going to show Wakanda Forever on 3 of them and something on the other one, right? Because it's limited. So they need to get whoever's going to get the most on this. Streaming, that's like a movie theater with unlimited screens. So now the question is, how do we get the most people possible? By including the most people possible.
Yeah. And I absolutely loved seeing Ned's Lola, because that was like the first time in MCU, I think, that we had some kind of major representation for Filipinos. But I think we can all agree that the main agenda overall, like full stop, is making money. And I think one of the main things that they need to work on and continue to work on is getting people behind the scenes to also be of that culture and of that representation. Because one of the problems that we had, for the past 50 years was white people writing what they viewed as the Asian experience, for example. That's why it was always so characterized. Or white people writing about the black experience and how it was, it was very skewed towards their perspective of how it works. And so, there are different experiences across the board for a lot of Asian Americans, the Filipinos, the Chinese, the Japanese, Koreans. There's all kinds of experiences, even though there is stereotypes in the tiger mom and, the Asian household with like taking off your shoes and being respectful and all kinds of like these stereotypes that exist. The experience is different for everyone. And so the more diverse of a voice we can have at the writer level and at the directorial level, the more authentic this stuff can seem to everyone.
So it's not something I can speak. You could probably, both of you can speak to this a lot better than I can. But I actually had, and this is talking about MCU, so I'm sorry. I've really enjoyed the Asian representation that we've been getting, because yes, we have, Shang-Chi, which does lean into some Asian stereotypes with the kung fu and stuff like that, but at the same time we get the Eternals with Gemma Chan, who is Asian, but that's not like so much more than that, and Gilgamesh and that, and then we have Benedict Wong. Like, you can have a bunch of, and also let's not forget about Kamala Khan, because that's where you can have all of these Asians who have vastly different experiences, vastly different things, where what they are is not, I don't know, that's the tokenization I don't like. Whenever you have a black character just to say black things and just to, be loud, that always bugs me. but like and I feel like I'm jumping around, but Cisco on The Flash was one of my favorite Mexican representations, because when he's with his brother, they speak Spanish. They're very Mexican, but more than being Mexican, he's just a geek, who likes nerdy things, and that's what comes off, and he's like a fully realized person. And I think that's what it is, right?
Yeah,
that's what I've been missing, because I'm black, but black is not it's not the whole thing that I am, and I like to see those well-rounded and deep characters on screen.
That's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty much the difference between representation and tokenism, right? It's just
very much
the
so.
character that comes on is like, hey guys, I'm Chinese.
Yeah.
Versus
That's
the guy
all
that
just
is
killing it with
Chinese.
our space Latinos.
Versus the guy that is Chinese that happens to be in the group, and it's just that's not his identity. That's just who he is, and
It's just a part of him. Yeah.
yeah,
Like you can have your cultural heritage, but you're more than that. Just like Pep, you're more than Filipino, and Choco, you're more than black. I'm more than Chinese. So yeah, the distinction between tokenism and representation, yes.
yeah. And there's also a distinction to be made about cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that you have to take into consideration when discussing this stuff, but. Of course, they're always going to be making money. And the money is in including everyone. And the best way they can do that is to include everyone in the process of making that movie as well.
I love how Kaylee brings out the shell gesture that they were making in Wakanda Forever was not in the script. It was brought about by the actors and things during the making of. And it's because that symbolism is all throughout those, Mesoamerican paintings on the walls. That people doing that is frequently there, and so that's why they thought to bring it out, and that's super cool to me. Also, Diego Luna is a director for Andor, so he got to have input as well. That's why I love, on Canary there is aspects of Spanish in their dialect. It would make sense. It would make sense for his accent and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was a shell of the Talocan thing. That's super cool.
Yeah. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things in the the Talocan portion that I was just fascinated by. Like, I don't know half of the stuff that they were doing.
And my wife is Mexican, and there's indigenous on her father's side.
Oh, that's so cool.
And that also made it really interesting because of the relationship between Spain and the indigenous side, and how looked down upon the indigenous side is. And there's a whole thing, but her family on the other side is the goal is to get as close to whiteness as possible. And so when we got married, her grandparents went up to her and told her that she was making their lineage worse by marrying me because I'm dark. but colorism is its own thing down there.
Oh my goodness.
Last one before we wrap things up. Cal says the irony is Hollywood and modern U.S. media has been subjected to the straight old white man agenda for generations. Academy Awards. So I'm actually going to kind of push back on that. I still don't think it was an agenda. I think that's just all they knew. I think they didn't know how to do other stories other than white man stories, and that's the movies that they made.
Sorry, go ahead, finish.
No, that's fine. I mean, I'm saying I want to try to say this as sensitively as possible. I don't think that it was a white man agenda. I think that they were just
people told stories that they knew.
Yeah, they were just white men doing white men stories, and in those stories included their caricaturizations of Asian people, and black people and all kinds of other cultures, and it came out as a caricature and like it was racist. But you know, I like that. This is why I try to I trend towards agenda being more adversarial than anything else. I don't think there was an agenda. I think they looked first to white actors and especially in terms of like box office draw. They looked first towards white actors, and then they told white stories, and that was everything that they basically knew for until the industry got more color, until cultures of all different races were starting to make its peak in the mind share of America, and so they had to start, you know, diversifying the portfolio, so to speak.
It was the default. You just made default. So if you didn't think about it, then that's what you did.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think behind the scenes there was an agenda because, you know, we have all of these mixed race actors back in, I guess you would say, the golden age of Hollywood in like 1920s all the way through 50s and 60s, where they changed their names and their appearance to fit more of the white aesthetic. So, and then as you pointed out, Pep, there were caricatures of people of color, or if they did cast someone of color in these roles to tell their stories, they were boxed in. I apologize, it's not bad, but you know, like the black woman, the mammy character, or an Asian woman, the dragon lady, or like the wilting lotus flower, who was, don't even get me started on Madame Butterfly. I hated that so much. But or a man,
the Asian doll, basically.
Or the man who
the
is
magical
like, you know,
black, the magical Negro.
Yeah, or like the like the Italian man who is the seductress, who is the tall, dark, handsome, mysterious character. So I think that's where the I guess to say agenda would be behind the scenes to continue fitting that narrative. I mean, I think a lot of their decisions were conscious, obviously, because it took a while for people of color to carve their own space in media, and you know, it took a lot. But I lost my train of thought. But that's where I was going with that.
I just think
because Chloe Bennett talked a lot about how when she started her acting career, Chloe Bennett from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right? She was Quake. Had the problem of, since she was racially ambiguous, would only be cast as like the funny best friend, and that was very disheartening. Her last name is Chloe Wang. She's half Chinese, and so she went with Chloe Bennett
to be more appealing.
To be more appealing, yeah.
I mean, that's sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm just thinking, like, that's what James Rodriguez, formerly James Roday, did.
Mindy Kaling.
Yeah, and Pedro Pascal, he tried to call himself Alexander for a little while, and I'm like, that broke my heart when I heard that. I'm like, no, you are Pedro Pascal.
I had my stint applying for jobs as Peter.
Peter?
Yeah.
No, you're Pep.
I don't put my middle name on applications.
I just think it just goes back to the whole agenda of making money. And I think Hollywood largely followed in the footsteps of what the American landscape looked like. And so back then, of course, right, not a lot of people of color were in positions to go to the movies or to enjoy any kind of civil liberties that white people had back in the day. And so that was where all of the money was, right? So the American landscape changes over time. You know, women get the chance to vote. People of color, you know, have more opportunities, and now we all have some semblance of the power of money, the purchasing power. And so Hollywood changes with that. So they seize that. The black community and the Asian community are a huge draw in terms of money. They're going to start making Asian and black movies, and you know, every other culture that based on like the census data, the more it like proliferates, the more Hollywood is going to change in that direction. There's still definitely a lot of racism and prejudice in Hollywood. But for the most part, if they want to make money, they suck it up and they go with where the money is. And that is largely, the minorities who are slowly becoming majorities.
The money's getting woke.
Yeah. I totally agree with it being about the money, just where the money was in the country and who had it. Exactly. And back then, money was in the white hands people. The white
palm
people's
colored.
hands.
I mean, once upon a time, you had to show married couples in separate beds because it was indecent to show them sharing a bed on TV, and that's slowly moved forward. All of these things are going to continue to move forward. And that was always that was always the hallmark of Star Wars. And I think this is my own, editorializing, but specifically when it comes to like the sequel trilogy, the political messaging behind it, I feel like there's a lot of pushback because as a kid, you love Star Wars because to you it's Star Wars. To the adults, they see what it's a critique of. I think there's a lot of people that found themselves on the side of the First Order and seeing them demonized, and that's where we get a lot of pushback. But that's my own. I mean, literally, the First Order was created because people were like, you know what? The Empire wasn't so bad. We need to make this galaxy great again. And you're like, huh. And then the
projection. And
then the Final Order was completely separate from the First Order. The difference being the Final Order is people that worshipped Palpatine.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Okay, fine. The last one. Surinatemi, this is the last question we're going to address, and then we're going to start wrapping things up. We are over time, but it's always a great conversation, so we don't mind going over time.
I didn't think we'd get this deep. I'm sorry.
No,
it's been throughout this entire episode.
Why do these complaints mention character agenda shoehorned into a movie? Who gets to designate a character / agenda as shoehorned is usually the white guys complaining, which is largely true. No one gets to really decide how that is. The only thing we can say is that through our critique of the said media, we can critique their execution of their inclusion in the movie, whether it feels shoehorned in. But I find 9 times out of 10, if they are racist or if they are misogynist, any woman or any person of color is going to be shoehorned in because they know nothing about those people. They don't know anything about Asian culture. You don't like Asians. Most Asians are going to be shoehorned into you.
Yeah. And it also for Travis, do you see my last few chats? I think they might have been missed. I was reading them. And again, no one is accusing you of anything.
We're just having a conversation.
We're speaking in generalities. But at the end of the day, this is just...
No one's molding.
The way I always talk about it is that if, and you would probably appreciate it as a musician yourself, if all of a sudden Guitar Center had twice as many guitars, right? Let's say they had 200 before, now they have 400. And you walk in there, but instead of 5% of guitars being left-handed, now it was 20%. There's still way more right-handed guitars than there ever have been before, but people can see a smaller percentage and think, oh, those left-handeds are taking over. And that's what I feel is kind of happening. We have more geek media than we've ever had.
Yes.
And the people who are typically referred to as part of an agenda are still by far the smallest portion. The MCU has 2 black films, 2, 1 Asian film, 2 female films, maybe 3 if you count Eternals. It's still very, very small for any of these. But if you look at them as one big group, then that seems like a lot, but it's really not.
That's the thing I always fall back on with these conversations. When people say that, when the default argument, and this is not like you, Travis, this is speaking in generalities now. When people say that they're shoving them, it's being shoved down their throat. When you see that the ratio of POC films versus white films over the course of a year is still staggeringly on the side of white films, nothing is being shoved down your throat. It just feels that way because you don't want it. If you're a racist and your day is filled with white people and you see one black guy, why are they shoving this black guy down my throat? It's like that one thing that makes you uncomfortable is always the thing that's being shoved down your throat. So I don't know. It's still, as Choco said, 1 Asian film, two black films in the MCU. And then we still have people saying that like there is a large agenda and we're at war. The woke resistance. I don't know. The people need to start just being decent people.
I mean, it's an interesting conversation.
Yeah,
that is important, and I'm glad it happened, and it needs to continue to happen.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we've shown that we can be reasonable people and discussing.
Yeah, again, I'm sorry. I kept calling out Travis specifically. Like that wasn't my intention. It's just I like to focus, and that's just where it came up. So I apologize, Travis, if sounded like I was attacking you in any way.
If Travis is guilty of one thing, is leading us to this subject. But
good
we're
subject.
Not. Yeah, but we're not in any way, shape, or form talking down to Travis or even talking at Travis. This is just, the subject was raised and then we had a generalized discussion of the overarching topic. But
fun fact, Travis was on episode 2 of the High Ground podcast.
Ooh, so he's an OG.
Chocolate, true talk. Choco, autocorrect. Thank you.
Chocolate is
Young.
also accurate.
Thank you, Young, for being our last guest in this episode. We definitely worked out. I think I worked out what was wrong with the call-in system to begin with, and that was the server-based mesh option that I had. It looked like our call went just fine. Removing that.
Thank you for letting me butt in.
Oh no, absolutely.
I'll hang up so you guys can outro it out. But yeah, thank you again.
Thank you for joining.
Always a pleasure. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
So, I mean, I have to have more trust on the P2P option, as usual. But yeah, I don't need my laptop. It's like my computer's handling it just fine. For some reason, the server option apparently.
How is the server more CPU intensive?
I'm not sure. Perhaps
perhaps literally
maybe
makes no sense.
Perhaps maybe it's because I am the one becoming the server.
I
don't know how it works particularly. But thank you guys so much for being a part of this season 2 premiere of Dyad and the Force. Thank you guys. Let's see. We have K Stanzi. We had Darthman86, Kenny. We had General Skivas, Kaylee, and then we had Lothal Youngling. Thank you guys for calling in and being a part of this kind of community day. I want to do more of these, and thank God we worked out the kinks. It should work going forward, or I should at least know what works moving forward. And we'll have more of these in the future where you can call in and we'll have you on to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Yeah, I think we are going to say thank you to all of our friends, Fulcrum Transmissions, the Podwans, House of Holocrons, Castle Run Relay, Beings of the Galaxy, Brooke at farfarawayfactory.com, Sith Faced, More of Us, which of course features our last guest, Lothal Youngling, and our friend over at twitch.tv/Cal4, who is going to be streaming after this as per usual for Squad Up Saturday. And of course, the Dyad Squadron, without which we could not continue to make content. I still have to add Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Mantis alongside Brooke. So sorry for that. If you're watching this, Obi-Wan, you will be updated. You'll be put in there sooner rather than later. But I think in ending this, I'm going to send you guys to the intro one more time, and then we'll do our outro.
The light force of your bond, a power like light itself, unseen for generations, a dyad in the force.
That's it. On to the next one.
For light and for life.
We're all the Republic.
And nobody better touch Bix. Bix lives. Or else. May the force be with you.
Also, feel better to Connor and feel better, Choco.